Harry and Meghan are desperately clinging onto the titles of Duke and Duchess of Sussex, which is both entirely predictable because it's the one thing that makes them entirely unique and is likely to attract sponsorships, although whether they're supposed to be using titles for sponsorships is another question that I addressed in a previous video, and it's also perfectly understandable and reasonable because they are their titles until or unless they are removed. But this has also raised lots of questions about what is their real surname and should they be using this name and so on. Because in response to the media backlash about the launch of Sussex.com, which still by the way links to SussexRoyal.com even though they're reportedly banned from using that website because it had the word royal in it, and the word royal is conspicuously absent from the new website Sussex.com, they've defended the position by saying Sussex is their name. But of course that's resulted in thousands of comments in response to say that Sussex is not their name, not their surname, and it's just a title. So what is the true position? Is it their real surname? Can they use that name? Can they change their name to Sussex? And how would they do that? Lots of these questions have popped up in the comments, so hopefully I can address some of those in this video. And just as a heads up, this video is partnered with NordVPN, but more about them a little bit later. So what is the true position for Harry? Well, for starters, it's not even Harry. That's just a moniker. His actual name is Henry Charles Albert David Duke of Sussex. So technically, he doesn't even have a surname or family name. So where did Mountbatten Windsor come from? Because everyone in the comments is obviously saying his family name, his surname is Mountbatten Windsor. Well, I can hopefully answer that for you. Not that I profess to fully understand every nuance of it, but I've got the gist and I'll try to explain it for you. So Mountbatten Windsor came about in 1960 when the Queen and Prince Philip decided that every untitled heir could use a unique name, and that was Mountbatten Windsor. Windsor coming from George V and Mountbatten coming from Prince Philip's maternal grandparents. In fact, the royal family website states the following: the Queen's descendants, other than those with the style of Royal Highness and the title of Prince or Princess, or female descendants who marry, would carry the name of Mountbatten Windsor, which is why technically Prince Harry doesn't have a surname. And for that matter, neither do their children. But then obviously some people will refer to Archie's birth certificate, which does say Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor. But he wasn't a prince at that stage. But you'll also notice if you've seen that birth certificate, I'm not going to put it on screen for copyright reasons, but if you've seen that birth certificate, you will see that Prince Harry is listed as the father as His Royal Highness Henry Charles Albert David Duke of Sussex. Obviously without the Mountbatten Windsor, and at that time he was still His Royal Highness, which now he isn't. But now he's just Prince Harry. So all of you that have said Sussex is just a title, as in Duke and Duchess of Sussex, I would agree with you, but for one possible explanation. But first, a short word about my partner for this video. Now, just as an aside, I have a bit of a warning for you because I've been contacted by many of you guys to tell me that someone, a fraudster, a scammer, is contacting you in the comment section, inviting you to contact me directly via Telegram or some other kind of platform. But make no mistake, this is not me, they are just fraudsters. But that is why I partner with NordVPN on this channel, because I genuinely believe that NordVPN will help to protect you from these scams. There's all sorts of features involved with NordVPN which help to protect you against these things. There is one thing called a threat protection, which helps to stop malware and web trackers, ads, and all other kind of internet threats. There is also a dark web monitor, which means if your information gets out into the public domain and might be used by bad actors, it will alert you to your details being leaked, and then you can go and do something about it. It also means that it hides your IP address so people can't track you, and you can even create a virtual private network yourself for all of your own devices, meaning that it keeps all of those devices safe. And of course, you can use it on all of your devices, your phone, your laptop, etc. Now, I'd just like to address one of the comments that some people make when I talk about NordVPN on this channel. And that is to do with the fact that NordVPN does not store any user logs on its system. It is a zero log policy, meaning that they only retain just the minimum amount of information necessary to allow them to provide you with the services. Now, the comment is that some people say that that is not true and that they do keep logs, etc. However, NordVPN has been audited independently 4 times now, the last 2 of which was by Deloitte, an independent international reputable firm. And after a thorough and independent audit, Deloitte confirmed for the 2nd year in a row that, quote, based on the procedures performed and the evidence obtained, in our opinion, the configuration of the IT systems and management of the supporting IT operations is properly prepared in all material specs in accordance with NordVPN's description as set out in their appendix, December 2023. And being the lawyer that you hopefully know and trust, and is one of the reasons you watch my channel, I have read this report and I have read the appendix, which Deloitte confirmed independently is completely accurate. The appendix provides that NordVPN only processes minimal user information, only as much as is absolutely necessary to maintain the services. And NordVPN does not store any incoming or outgoing traffic data, including user and destination IP addresses, browsing history, websites visited, amount of data transferred, DNS queries, or files downloaded. So hopefully that is sufficient to allay some of those comments, although I'm sure some people will still make them. But for the rest of you, with the rise of scams and frauds and dodgy websites and all sorts of things, I mean, just the other day I received a message telling me it was from the bank and that they were going to send me a link to go through to log in and do something. Obviously, I'm not going to click that, but if in the event that you are fooled by one of these links, NordVPN will help to flag that up and prevent you from being scammed. This is particularly important if you travel around and you're in coffee shops and you're connecting to someone else's Wi-Fi, because that might not be secure. But if you connect through NordVPN, which is very quick and easy to do, then you will have the peace of mind that your phone and your laptop are secure and that all of the information transferred is encrypted. There's also the benefit of being able to switch your IP address to another country to fool certain platforms into thinking you're in that country so you can watch their TV programs and things like that. Now, when I first used NordVPN, I paid for it with my own money and I've used it ever since. And now I am proud to call them my partners. And for that, I'm able to offer you a significant discount and 4 months extra free if you use my link in the description below. And if you change your mind, you get a 30-day money-back guarantee, but I promise you that the peace of mind that you get from using this and then knowing that your data and everything is encrypted and secure, you won't look back. So check out my link in the description below, get your 4 months extra free, and I thank you for allowing me the time to thank my partner for this channel. So all of you that have said Sussex is just a title, as in Duke and Duchess of Sussex, I would agree with you, but for one possible explanation. Have they in fact changed their name officially? Well, let's wind back a bit, because insofar that I've read, I haven't seen any reporting on official paperwork that he adopted Mountbatten Windsor as the surname once stepping back from royal duties. You'll remember that some time ago in 2020. There doesn't appear to be any official paperwork that is using Mountbatten Windsor, although the late Queen said that anybody that didn't have a title that wanted to use a surname for official paperwork, or even those that did want to use a surname for official paperwork, could use Mountbatten Windsor. But unless anyone can point me to something that I've missed, I understand that Harry has never used Mountbatten Windsor and reportedly had no intention of doing so, much less signed official paperwork to that effect. So why Sussex? Well, obviously they have to call their business venture and their website something, and I doubt very much they're going to call it Harry and Meghan. But equally, I don't think they're going to call it Henry Charles Albert David Duke of Sussex and Rachel Meghan Duchess of Sussex.com. So I think they went with a shortened version and ended up with Sussex.com. Now, whilst on the one hand this has led to lots of questions about using titles for business, which the website makes clear that they're intending to do, it is also understandable that in some kind of rebrand they needed a simple, catchy name to put on the front. But the big question here is, have they changed or do they plan to change their official name to Sussex? And if so, how do they do so? Many people in the comments have said surely they would need some kind of deed poll, name change and things like that. Well, that I can hopefully explain to you in this video. So have they changed it? Will they change it? And what effect does it have? Here are my views. Well, there's a hint from Harry that he's considered American citizenship. And so all these things taken together are sort of in conflict with his suggestion that he's also going to make further trips back to the UK and what those trips are for. But either way, it's clear that they are trying to re-establish and rebrand an identity on which they've hung the name Sussex. So it's entirely possible that they will officially change their name to Sussex. So if so, how would they do that? Well, changing your name is a lot more straightforward than you might think. Not necessarily so for a prince, but I wouldn't see why not. But changing your name can be done in one of a couple of ways. First of all, you can change your name the most official way, which is by deed poll, which is what most of you will be familiar with. There's a fee attached to this, currently standing at £48.32, and you apply to the Royal Courts of Justice to get what we call an enrolled deed poll, which is a public record deed of name change. And you'll usually want to go through a solicitor so that you do it properly, and you'll probably need a proper deed poll if you want to use it for things like your driving license, passport, and bank identity verification. However, if you're not too worried about official organisations having your new name, for example, you don't drive and you don't need a passport, etc., you can just do this yourself, and you don't need to pay for the deed poll fees, or for the solicitor for that matter. You just need to create a deed yourself, which has to be written, it has to be signed, and importantly, it has to be witnessed by 2 independent witnesses that are also 18 and over. And just as a bit of a warning here, there are certain registers that if you are on, you need to tell the police within 3 days of changing your name. Those include the Sex Offenders Register, the Violent Offenders Register, and the Terrorist Offenders Register. You need to go to the local police station to tell them that you've changed your name if you're on any of those lists. Which, incidentally, I did a video on some time ago that the police simply lost track of a whole bunch of offenders on some of these lists because they just changed their name and didn't tell the police. Obviously, that's an offence in itself, but it meant that they lost track of those people because they just changed their names and disappeared. Now, it's entirely possible that there's a different process or a different tradition for a member of the royal family changing their name. I wouldn't see why, but I'm certainly no expert on these things with the royal family, so maybe someone in the comments is and they can tell me and then I can come back and tell you all. But insofar as I'm concerned, a name change could be enacted in just the same way as anybody else. So is Harry and Meghan's response to the criticisms about this website telling us that they either may have or are planning to change their name officially to Sussex? Maybe, who knows? But that would certainly fit with the rebranding and the new website. But of course, if there was any backlash from the palace about them using their titles to conduct business, which the late Queen was firmly against, then that could ultimately result in them losing their titles. But what would that mean for their new name Sussex, if that is really what they're planning to do? Well, in my view, nothing at all. It's just that the Duke and Duchess portion would fall away, and they would become Harry and Meghan Sussex as their new family name. If that's what they chose to adopt, then that is entirely down to them. Anybody can change their first and last name to pretty much whatever they wish. And so if that's what they've done and that's what they plan to do, that is entirely down to them. Now, if they'd made an unenrolled deed of name change, then technically no one else might know about it, although that might make things difficult for travel, for example, passports and so on, because they are likely to want a full deed poll name change. But for the moment, it would seem that they are just the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. So as always, let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know if you think there's anything I've missed. Please do remember to subscribe. About 60% of you don't. That's the only thing I ask. And as always, thank you for watching.